Welcome to this AQA GCSE Sociology revision blast. Today we are focusing on stratification and poverty, which is part of paper 2. We're going to start this revision blast with a round of missing vowels. For each key term that you're going to see, the vowels have been removed, which makes them look a little bit tricky to work out. They are all linked to stratification and poverty, so let's see how we get on. Our first one is on the screen. The second word hopefully is relatively straightforward, but what's the first word that makes this into a key term? We'll give you a few moments to try and work it out. If you need any more time at any point in the video, just pause. So, have we worked out what this first word is? Let's have a look. It is absolute poverty. So when your basic needs are not met. So for example, you might not have enough food or clean water. So things that we think are people's human rights. Okay, number 2. So again, another key concept in stratification and poverty. We'll leave it up on the screen for a few moments. Okay, let's have a look. Did you work it out? It is material deprivation. So being without the actual goods, so for example, phones, game consoles, computers, or maybe not having your own bedroom, that would be seen as a part of material deprivation. Number 3. So this is linked to the government. What is this key term? It is the welfare state. So the different types of support that are available for people living in poverty, but there are lots of things that are to do with the welfare state. For the NHS, for example, is part of the welfare state, but certainly people who are living in poverty will be supported by a variety of benefits such as the universal credit, working tax credits, all sorts there, which are part of the country's welfare state to support people and try and keep them out of trouble. Number 4. So quite an easy key term here, but some of the letters are missing, so obviously it makes it look quite tricky. Have we worked it out? It is inequality, so the idea of unfairness in society, some people being really rich and having a very lavish lifestyle, and other people at the other end really, really struggling, and that sort of gap between rich and poor. Okay, number 5. So again, second word we should recognise quite easily. But can we work out first word? Okay, let's have a look. So it's relative poverty. So when we are talking about relative poverty, it's about being without the important things that we expect from UK society. So we live in a rich country where we do expect a certain standard of living. So for example, we would all expect to have access to a mobile phone, to have internet access and things. Whereas if we were comparing that to poverty in other countries, that wouldn't be, it would be seen as very different. What about this one? So this is something in place to try and prevent poverty. Okay, let's reveal. It is the minimum wage. So the minimum wage is the lowest hourly rate that workers can be paid in the UK. And the idea is that we pay a minimum wage so people are not living in poverty. Now, for the UK, the minimum wage for those who are over 21 is £10.18 an hour. So this has had a big increase over the last few years, but the cost of living has also had a huge increase. So lots of people who are working on the minimum wage are really, really struggling. It is one of those things where you could work 40 hours a week, so you could be full-time on the minimum wage, and you would probably get to the end of the month with very little money left over. Your bills, your living expenses, everything would just take up that minimum wage. So most people obviously aim not to be working anywhere near the minimum wage because it frankly isn't enough to live on in the UK. Number 7. So this links to the welfare state that we talked about a minute ago. Second word looks very easy as it's only missing one letter. What's the first part of this? Let's reveal. It is the benefit system. So in the UK, as part of the welfare state, we have a series of benefits. So if you are out of work, for example, you can claim job seekers allowance. If you are on a low income, you can claim universal credit. We've got working tax credits for parents to support them back at work. You have things like disability allowances, all sorts of benefits in place to help the most vulnerable people in society and try and enable them to live in the UK and have a reasonable standard of living. Number 8. Okay, hopefully this one looks quite easy. Okay, let's have a look. It is the living wage. So the living wage is different to the minimum wage. The living wage is in place for anybody over the age of 23, and it is £10.42 an hour rather than £10.18, which is the minimum wage. So the living wage is defined as a minimum income necessary for a worker to meet their basic needs. It takes into account the cost of living. Okay, our next one is on the screen. Again, second word should be relatively easy because we've already seen it in this activity. What's the first word? Let's reveal. It is cultural deprivation. So the idea of having an absence of the experiences or support needed to become a successful adult. So you might not be taken out for trips as a child, for example. And our last missing vowels should be relatively easy because very few letters in this word are vowels. So let's reveal the answer. It is unemployment. Well done if you got all 10 of those key terms correct. Right, we're going to move on to a 30-second challenge. What we would like you to do is to answer the question, why did Charles Murray argue that Britain was developing an underclass in losing ground? So that losing ground is a key text on the AQA specification. Off you go. Okay, let's have a look. So he talked about the availability of benefits. So he argued that there was little incentive or interest in getting a job. Therefore, this placed a big burden on taxpayers. He argued about the decline of the nuclear family. So there was more single parents, so therefore there was more reliance on the state. And then he linked that to missing fathers. And he said that boys growing up without a good role model to instill values of honesty, hard work and responsibility would lead to all sorts of societal problems. Right, let's do another one. So again, another key text from the specification. What did Pete Townsend include in his relative deprivation index in poverty in the UK? Okay, let's have a look. So he defined relative deprivation as a lack of resources to obtain a standard of living that was widely available in society. So, for example, decent housing was included, a good diet, clothing, fuel, and access to leisure activities. However, there was quite a lot of criticism around his index. So it didn't really account for life choices. So, for example, many people choose not to eat meat, and that might not be because they can't afford meat. It might just simply be because morally they don't wish to eat it. So therefore, he'd got down some families that perhaps were classed as vegetarians as being deprived because he felt that they were not eating meat because it was they couldn't afford it, rather than it just being a choice that they had made. Right, a slightly easier 30-second challenge to finish off this round. What is the impact of poverty in the UK on children? Okay, let's have a look. We've got poor living conditions, we've got poor diet and health, may have to work as well as going to school, therefore they've got less chance of achieving good exam results, and they are vulnerable to crime. So all of those things are results of children being exposed to poverty in the UK. So we're now going to move on to a round of scrambled sentences. We would like you to rearrange these scrambled sentences to form the perfect paragraph explaining why people may end up claiming benefits. On the screen you have 5 sentences to help you with that, but they are not in the right order, hence the word scrambled at the top. What we would like you to do is to pause the video, have a read through all of them and try and work out what order they go in. When you're happy with your order, then unpause. So remember, we're looking for the perfect paragraph explaining why people may end up claiming benefits. Pause the video now. Okay, if you haven't paused the video already, please do so because we are about to reveal the answers. Let's reveal. So, right at the top, someone may leave school with few formal qualifications. This makes them much less attractive to employers, so may think they are lazy or lack ability. This increases the risk of low paid or insecure employment, for example, 0 hours contracts. Therefore, they are much more likely to struggle to pay household bills, particularly when the cost of living is rising. They may need to apply for welfare benefits to supplement their income. If you got those in the correct order, then well done. Right, we're going to move on to a round of 10-second challenges. You've got 10 seconds to answer the questions on screen. Each question is linked to globalisation and poverty, so a key part of the specification that you need to know about. Question 1. What is globalisation?
Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
Okay, so it's where different parts of the world are brought closer together by the exchange of goods, services and communication, and it is made possible by technology. Right, question 2. What is a multinational company, or an MNC? Sometimes these are known as transnational corporations or TNCs, but what are they?
Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
Okay, it is a global company that has its headquarters in a high-income country like the UK or the USA, but it bases its manufacturing in lower-income countries where it can benefit from cheap labour. Number 3. Give an example of a multinational company.
Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
thousands you could pick, but we've got Apple, Nike, Google, Shell, Coca-Cola, all sorts that you could pick from there. Think about why MNCs produce their goods in countries like China and Indonesia.
Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
Though we have cheap labour, we've got more relaxed health and safety laws and more relaxed environmental laws. So these are all reasons why big companies go and produce their goods on the other side of the world. So let's link that back to the UK. What impact does this shift in manufacturing abroad have on UK workers? So think about the link to poverty.
Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
So we have deindustrialisation in some jobs, so factories are closing down that results in huge job losses, and it can have a multiplier effect where it might mean that suddenly other companies don't want to locate there anymore. There's a general decline in the standard of living. It can increase the incidence of crime, all sorts of things there. Right, number 6. What sort of jobs are most at risk because of this relocation?
Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
So mainly those based in factories, but also jobs in farming, mining, some service jobs such as people working in call centres. So jobs that are relatively poorly paid in comparison to the UK average, they're the ones that are most at risk. And obviously that means that people living in poverty are the people that are most likely to lose their jobs. But there are some advantages of globalisation for people who are living in poverty in the UK. What might they be?
Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
So the biggest advantage is the fact that cheaper goods are available because they are being made more cheaply in other parts of the world. Therefore, the cost of those goods to buy is lower. Right, last 10-second challenge. What is a 0 hours contract?
Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
Okay, let's have a look. So it's where the employer does not guarantee the individual any hours of work. These are insecure jobs and they can lead to poverty. So, for example, Deliveroo drivers, lots of Amazon delivery drivers, there's a massive increase in the 0 hours contracts, and often people have no choice but to accept them because they are desperate for work. Right, we're going to finish off the revision blast with a 60-second challenge. We have mentioned quite a few of these key phrases already in the revision blast, so it's a test to see how well you've been paying attention. You need to match the letters on the left with the numbers on the right. Off we go. Okay, let's check these answers. So we have A5, equality, so the idea of fairness in society, for example, equal opportunities. B7 is life chances, the opportunities people have to enjoy the good things in life. C3 is deprivation, to go without things that are expected for people living in that society, but that obviously will change over time. D2 is absolute poverty, when your basic needs are not met. So, for example, food, clean water, shelter, clothes, warmth, etc. The things that we regard as a person's human rights. E1 is relative poverty, when you are without important things that we expect from UK society. So, for example, transport, a mobile phone, access to the internet. F4 is material deprivation, being without the actual goods, so for example a phone, games consoles, computers, etc., or not having your own bedroom. And G6 is cultural deprivation, so the absence of the experiences or support needed to become a successful adult, such as children not being taken out on trips. Well done for getting to the end of this revision blast. We have covered lots of activities to recap on knowledge and understanding of stratification and poverty, and hopefully it will enable you to go into the paper 2 exam feeling a bit more confident. Please have a look at the revision playlist for all of these revision blasts. We have them for every topic across the 2 papers, and there are some that cover cross-topic themes such as consensus and conflict theories and research methods. So please do take a look at those. And all there is for me to add here is just to wish you heaps of luck for both your paper 1 and your paper 2 exams.